Hi, good afternoon and welcome to this afternoon's demonstration of EstimatorXpress. Thank you for giving up your valuable time to come and have a look at the software. Just want to introduce myself. My name's Mark Brady. I'll be taking you through the software this afternoon. Just a couple of things using the kind of GoToWebinar software. Just want to kind of bring everyone's kind of attention to the control panel. On the control panel, this is a kind of a one-way kind of audio, so you guys will be listening to me. If you want to ask questions, there is kind of a question panel on the control panel that you guys can fire a couple questions as we go through. Just want to make sure that I'm kind of coming through crystal clear. So if somebody just wants to ask the question, that I'm actually coming through nice and clear, that would be really helpful. Just so I know that everyone's paying attention and you can hear me. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. As long as you can hear me, I'm going to be sharing my screen with you guys anyway, which I'm going to be doing just now. Cool. So you should be able to kind of see my screen being broadcast, my mouse moving around. It's just a couple of buttons and stuff on the screen at this stage. Hope you can all see that perfectly fine. Excellent stuff. And as long as you can see it, that's champion stuff. Cool. So hopefully you'll have a good insight into the software after today. Today's, I guess, kind of theme we're kind of running at the moment is the ability of being able to kind of quote very, very quickly with the software that's going to obviously kind of give you guys back some of your time. I'd probably say the majority of the time that builders kind of speak to us is when they want to kind of save time, make time, or even kind of I guess kind of make money or even kind of save money really. Obviously with our software, you're kind of looking at reducing the amount of estimating time down by as much as around about 70 to 75% of the estimating time, really kind of depending on how you're actually doing it today really. So what I'll be doing today, I'll just be running through a nice kind of quick extension just to give you guys an idea of how to start estimating with the software. But the software can estimate anything from a renovation, refurbishment job, extension, garage conversion, loft conversion, all the way up to and including kind of new houses. It will kind of estimate all that type of work, and the process is pretty much the same really. So without further ado, what we're going to do now, I'm just going to kind of quickly just go into this section of the software here, which indicates the library on the left hand side just here. If you drop the library menu down, it kind of gives you access to these areas of the software. So again, really about kind of customizing the software, setting it up, especially to kind of have how much money you want to make on each and every job. So you can actually kind of set this as kind of default. You can kind of set it across the 5 main areas that the software estimates: materials, labor, plant, subcontractor, and also kind of sundry kind of items. Now you can obviously kind of put whatever percentage kind of equates to your own kind of business really. I believe out of the box it's about a 15-15 split, but you can go into these sections and you can put whatever kind of business overhead your kind of company runs at. It could be 5, could be 10%. You can obviously kind of change that quite easily, and how much profit you want to make on top. Again, you can adjust those kind of profit percentages to whatever you like them to be. I've got mine kind of set out to a 5% overhead and a 20% profit. So my overall kind of markup on each and every job that I do is going to be 25% across the board. Once you actually go into the estimate itself, you do have the option of actually changing these values once you're in the job. So if you do want to kind of customize, or maybe you're kind of in a bit of a negotiation with the customer, you can go into this section within the estimate itself, and you can kind of change them by the estimate you've actually done. So again, just the a little kind of variation. On the right hand side, pretty much on everyone's kind of mind, and I guess the kind of market, the cost of living, inflation is on the rise. Now, obviously, when you're kind of estimating today, you're kind of using today's prices from the price book. So, but if you're actually not going to be starting a job for a good couple of months, could be 6 months, or even a lot of builders I'm speaking to, they're kind of estimating even into kind of next year. What you want to do is make sure that the price you actually give the customer has already got the kind of future inflation already applied to the quote. And again, you can kind of do that within here. You can kind of put whatever inflation percentage you want to kind of pop on there. Again, it could be 8, it could be 9. I have been reading in the news recently, it could be up as 10% in the certainly in the kind of near future. So again, it's making sure that the price you're actually presenting to the customer is the most realistic price you can actually give them, based on estimating on today's prices, but thinking about what's going to happen further on down the line once the kind of inflation, etc., does kick in, and how much money you want to make on top of that as well. So again, it's about being quite cute on how much markup you do, because obviously inflation and also competing with other builders, you just want to make sure you're giving them a very competitive price. So that is something that you guys can pretty much kind of do out the box. Once it's installed, you can go to the library, you can go to overhead, profit and inflation, and you can set out how much money you want to make on top of each job, and how much money or how much inflation you want to apply to each and every project that you do. The other kind of section in here that I would certainly kind of suggest kind of exploring is your price book. 99% of the time, as soon as I start doing a demonstration, the end builder always asks, where do we get our prices from? So the price book, the default one you get in the software is actually called the master price book. That's the one that kind of comes preloaded in the software. If I go to the material section, so I'm just going to click on that and let that load. This will now take you into all the material prices that I've got or you've got in the software from day one. Now, how we work out the price is, for example, if I take that one there, just highlighting the building sand bulk bag, we've got that price in the software at £47.50. Just going to double click on it a second and just open it up a little bit more. Now, where we arrive at that price is we do actually kind of look at 5 or 6 different builders merchants, and then what we do is we work out what the overall market average is, what they're actually selling that material for, and then give the software an average based on I think it's 5 or 6 different builders merchants. They're kind of checking these prices again. So if they're obviously increasing their prices, we'll increase our average accordingly, and we do check those prices every 3 to 4 weeks just to see what's going on in the market, whether or not they're kind of fluctuating up or down. At the moment, they're all kind of fluctuating up, although it has got a little bit more kind of stagnant of late. But obviously, kind of recessions and inflations and everyone's kind of vocabulary coming through the summer. So that £47.50 there represents a market average that we're checking against different builders merchants. Now, from your point of view, what you can do is you can overwrite that price. Now, you can do it 2 ways. You can actually tell the software to stop downloading with the market average, untick, And what you can do is go into that cell and you can put whatever price you want to put in there. If you want to kind of increase that price to 52 or 55 or 60, that's completely down to you. The other way of doing it is, rather than unticking the average price, you want to maintain that average just so you can kind of keep an eye on whether or not prices are increasing and how much by. In this kind of adjustment box or cell, you can actually pop 10% on that. So you can take it 10% above market average, or even 15% above market average. It just means that if HBXL update their prices next week, and we bump that up to around about 50, then what the software will do will actually raise the £50 by 15%, and then we'll work out the net purchase cost of that material itself. Okay, so there's two ways of doing that, adjusting your prices. You can either untick the download or untick the updates, or you can put your own kind of adjustment on each and every price you see fit. What you can also do as well is you can tell the software how long that building sand will be delivered onto site. We're giving it a 2-week kind of periods for delivery. Again, if supply is quite tight or there's been a delay, you can obviously go into the software and say, well, the sand's going to take 3 or even kind of 4 weeks to be delivered. Just what that means is, when the software actually does the estimate, it will give you a materials order schedule. It will give you an order date of the material, when it's going to be required on site based on where it's going to be used. Okay, so again, there are some kind of project management tools that are built into the software, and you guys can kind of edit these kind of numbers and as often as you want and as long as you want. Okay. What you can also do as well is you can allow for any kind of wastage on each and every material. Being building sand, being a loose bag, we're probably going to waste quite a bit of it. Again, if you guys are running a slightly more kind of tighter ship, you can reduce your kind of overall kind of wastage percentages. You can put whatever you like in there, and you can obviously see it kind of increases the price based on the wastage, because if we needed 4 or 5 bags of sand, then if we're wasting 25% a bag, we're obviously going to need another bag at some point if we're wasting that much. Okay, so yeah, that kind of allows you to edit these kind of materials as you see fit. What you can also do with the software is you can put your own ones in there. On the top ribbon up here, you'll see that there's a button that says New Resource. Now, if I'm on that building sand bulk bag, I can click on New Resource. And then what that does, that makes a copy of the building sand bulk bag. I can give it any kind of name I'm after. I can just call it building sand if I want to. And we can put whatever price we want to put in there. And we can also assign that to a merchant or supplier. If they're not in there already, we can actually add, and then you can put your own one in there. Help spell Travis right. Let's see, we're getting that from Travis Perkins. And we'll click OK, and Travis said that they can get that every 3 weeks. And again, if you want to kind of tighten up on your wastage, you can do. I thought I'd already put that in there. So there's Travis Perkins there. Click OK, and that's now my Travis Perkins £55 bag already now added to the software. It is that easy and that simple to do. Any material that you guys enter into the software will be indicated as being red. It just gives you an indication of the ones that you guys have put in there. Or if you're putting in a lot of materials from different merchants, you can actually filter by the Travis Perkins price in there. So the only one it's going to look at is my building sand bulk bag just there. Okay. Now, what you can also do as well is you can filter off by the type of material. We're obviously kind of at the aggregate stage. So if I do filter by my aggregates, this is now kind of showing all. And if I wanted to, I could actually select all my aggregates and do a mass edit. And I can actually just bump them all up by 10%. And we could obviously change the delivery terms on that as well. And then all I've done there is all my aggregates, I've actually increased by 10%. Even my new one, it's actually now gone up to £60.50. And if you want to undo that, again, just select them all, press edit, and I'll just take that back to 0. and then that will apply, and then just click OK, and all those prices are back off. And if you want to kind of delete that building, Sam, I'm never going to use it again, I can take that Travis Perkins one out. So you guys have got complete control of your price book and how you manage your materials and how you edit your materials and how you kind of add kind of new ones to it. If you want to kind of filter off another type of material, let's say we want to look at all the carcassonne timber, we can look at all the carcassonne timber. There's quite a few in here, as you can see, kind of scrolling down this list. All different sizes, all variety of prices, they're all in here. We do kind of populate a lot of the materials. We've got 300 mil, we've got 75 by 2.7. It's you kind of got a lot of different materials and stuff in here to play around with, really. The other kind of part of the price book is the labor section. Again, quite important to make sure you're kind of getting your labor kind of set up as you need it. The prices you're seeing on screen, they are a guide price. By no means we're saying that's how much brickies, etc. are charging. I do speak to different builders from all over the UK. They've all got different prices, obviously in and around kind of London, the southeast, a little bit more expensive than maybe kind of Midlands, northeast, even up to the kind of northwest, and also Scotland as well. So again, you can adjust this very, very quickly. If you can work out how much your brickies are on a day, you can make that kind of percentage kind of calculation. And what I can do, I can actually bump up all my kind of labor by say 10 or 20%, and then all I've done there is kind of increased my brickies, who were 25 an hour. We've increased it by 20%, so they're now £30 an hour. So again, you guys can kind of change those kind of rates as quickly as you want, or put new ones in to the software. It is completely down to you. Just make sure we're zeroing that out. There we go, and then they all go back to their kind of defaults. So again, completely you can change all this. If you ever get a little bit stuck how to do things, I always kind of point out under the help button, if you go to the kind of help videos, if you click on that, this will open up a web page that will take you to the help videos. If you go to the help videos here, there will be a video in here about editing your labor rates, editing your prices. So if you go on there, it's a little YouTube video. It's not particularly long, it's only about 5 minutes long.
In this video,
you can kind of follow that, and Olivia will tell you exactly how to change your labor rates in there. So there is help videos. If the help videos, or you want to speak to someone, you can give us a call in the office through the kind of technical support channel, and then you can get that number and you can give us a call. That's available Monday to Friday, 9 till 5 o'clock. And yeah, that's unlimited telephone support. We don't limit on how often you call us or how many times you call us. You can access those guys as and when you need to. There's obviously other kind of areas, the plants. That's just really kind of giving you an allowance for like skip ramps or even slings, mini diggers, etc. Any kind of plant you're going to use, block cutters, mixers, plate compactors. Again, they're all in here for you guys to kind of use. So the minimum kind of input from you guys, they're already in here. Just change the prices accordingly. So that's me kind of going on about what you can modify in the library. Once that's been pretty much kind of modified, you won't necessarily have to go in there all the time. Set them up as you do. Get the guys to kind of help you set them up. Once that's kind of set up, you're pretty much kind of ready to start your estimating, really. And it's a very, very simple process. All you have to do is just create a new job from that button there. All right, there is also one up in the ribbon, but there is one there. Just create a new job, and you're kind of presented with these kind of 4 different options. The first option, you can actually do a quote using one of the standard job templates that we've got built into the software, and I'm going to kind of show you how to do that today. If it's not a kind of a standard job you're doing, there's maybe a little bit more about it. You may need to use one of the custom templates instead, or even if you're doing like a standalone renovation job, conversion, garage conversion, loft conversion, you can kind of use that second option down here. For those that are maybe kind of looking into other bits of software we do, we have a bit of software called PlansXpress, which is our CAD system. What you can do with that is you can trace over existing PDFs and then estimate them by pulling them in here. Just pull in the plan, that will price up. The bottom option tends to be more used by some of our legacy users. We've been doing this for over 22 years now, and versions of the software previously didn't have our templates built in. So some of our legacy users, some of the more kind of experienced guys still like to do it the old-fashioned way about building the estimate manually. Well, that's fine, they can still do that. I'd probably say the majority of the guys that we're selling the software to are tending to kind of use these kind of templates at the top. And the reason being is if you click on that button there at the very top, you actually get presented with these different templates here to use. Okay, so if you are doing an extension, you can filter off using the building type filter. You can just have a look at the extension shapes. You can also change the wall finish. So maybe you're not building in brick, maybe you're building in like a rendered block wall. I can change that wall finish to load a block rendered wall instead of a brick and block, or we could do stone. It's down to you really. It does default to brick anyway at the to begin with. That tends to be the majority of it really. Doesn't necessarily have to be an extension. That we're going to kind of do that today, but if you're maybe kind of building a garage, you can do a brand new garage in here, or if you are building a house, there are certainly kind of house shapes for you to use in here. But we are going to be building an extension, so these kind of shapes, especially if you get that kind of shape kind of landing on the desk, you've had a look at it, pretty straightforward, maybe kind of three-sided lean-to extension. There's one in there. You can choose that shape and start with that shape. Again, it's all just about just being nice and quick and to kind of get that kind of quote out to the customer. There are other shapes obviously in here. You can see you've got three-sided apex, you've got a three-sided apex valley, you've got a hip valley, you've got a hip abutment, obviously the lean-to, mono pitch, three-sided flat roof extension. This one here is more kind of a two-sided shape. You can kind of build it off an existing wall, so there's only two sides to it, and that again is very similar but just a flat roof. This one here tends to be for like a wraparound extension, so it's like a corner kind of corner extension with an apex at the front and a kind of a lean-to running down the sides. This one here is like a corner hip with a kind of a lean-to, and this is like a corner flat roof wrapping all the way around the building as a kind of like a corner extension would do. If the job use that you're looking at, it doesn't really kind of conform to any of these standard shapes, you can use either of these shapes here, like an any shape single story pitch roof extension. So again, the software doesn't really kind of follow a particular shape. You just got to put in the total length of all the walls and the heights of all the walls you're building, and then whatever kind of pitch on the roof, and then that will kind of estimate that type of shape. Or again, if you've got like a flat roof shape, it's not your typical three or two-sided. Maybe it's got an extra kind of a couple of walls coming off the sides running down. Again, you can kind of choose that, and again, it doesn't really have a particular shape. It just wants to know the total length of all the walls you're going to build and the total height of the walls that you're going to build. And then it gets into kind of double-story territory. It's got this kind of nice shape here. I've seen this quite a few times of late, or even any kind of double stories there as well. Also, the beauty of the templates is you can actually use one template, estimate it, and then within the estimate you can actually add a new template. So if you did have, like, say, a lean-to on the rear, and then at the front there was maybe a kind of a small porch, You could use the apex roof, single story extension, small porch, put in the width and the length of the walls you're building, whatever kind of pitch or roof. It will work out the total area based on the walls, etc. And you could do a little kind of porch at the front. So you could choose that one, estimate it, and then choose that one, and that will actually be in the same job at the same time. And I'll try and show you that towards the end. So let's say the job that we got in was a lean-to single-story extension. So all you have to do is click on the picture, and then we can actually give the job a name. It does kind of default it to lean-to single-story extension. You can overwrite that if you want to. If you want to kind of create the job name as being the customer's name, that's absolutely fine. The job description, we can actually put the job description in there as being a lean-to extension. It's going to create a job reference based on the last job we did. So I've got number 3 sitting in my library there. So it's going to assign it job number 4. But again, you can overwrite the job reference there. What it's doing here is loading the master price book automatically. I forgot to say, by the way, within the library, within the master price book, you can actually make a copy of the master price book. We can make multiple copies of them, really. You could have different price books with different variations and different materials and stuff in there if you want to. You can name them whatever you like. And then when you get to this stage, you can actually apply said price book to this. So if you had a price book with a slightly kind of elevated labour, because you're doing it in an area that you historically know the labour side is maybe about 5 or 10% above your own prices, you can have a price book in there with, say, local area 10% labour adjustment, and have that as your kind of name of the price book, and then apply that here. So yeah, it's all just about applying the right kind of tool to the job, really. Down here, we've got a lead time of the project, so we're assuming that we're going to start around about July. It could be that the client tells you that, well, we kind of need this job maybe kind of beginning of August. Maybe while kind of summer holidays are going on, we're going away, so could you start around this time? So we've got a kind of a start date on the 10th or the 8th. Now that's important because it will schedule the materials based on the start date of the project. So it will be telling you when you need your building sand, when you need your bricks, when you need your timbers based on that date, and how those lead times are. But also as well, you can review your kind of inflation here, so it's loading that kind of 8%. So if we think by the time that we start building in August, it might have actually gone up by 10, we can factor that in to the quote, yeah. And you can put a delay on the inflation kicking in, but based on the fact that we're starting this in a couple of months, we're actually going to present the price to the customer without any delay to that 10%. So we're putting an extra 10% on top for materials, because what we want to do, we want to protect our profit margin. Yeah, we want to make sure that we've got a very clear quote on how much this is going to charge the customer, including inflation, and how much money you guys are going to make. So yeah, you'll get the answer to that. Client's address. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pop in my own details there. So Mr. Brady, I'll just call this the house, and we'll just put a Duff postcode in here, and this will all be mapped onto the quotation that we create. So that gets kind of done automatically. That gets popped onto the quote for me. Now down here, I didn't really kind of go through it in the library. Some of you eagle-eye guys might have kind of picked it up, but within the library, we had this section called kind of specification. Now I didn't go into it maybe for another day, but what this specification pretty much kind of lays out is all the various kind of building elements to the various kind of building parts of the job you're going to do. So for example, it kind of lays out, if you're doing the external wall brickwork, it kind of assigns a cost of a brick. That's all the specification does. It says if you're doing that job, that's the material you're using. For example, on the roof tiling, the specification will tell the software whether or not you're using like a pan tile, plain tile, or slate. As default, it will use a plain tile. But at this stage, you guys can, again, if the customer wants a slate tile, you can say, right, we're going to build this extension using a slate tile, and we're also going to build this extension using a slightly more expensive brick than the standard. The same for any kind of bars boards. We've got a sloped roof going in here. It might be that rather than using the kind of plastic barges, they want 175mm softwood bars boards on there. And also the roof guttering, rather than using the kind of default kind of plastic gutter that the specification kind of sets out, it could be that we need to build it in maybe like a zinc or a steel rectangular gutter instead. So at this stage, we can just change some of the elements of the build with this different variations. Like, for example, if the customer doesn't want you guys to decorate, they want to decorate it themselves, you can actually tell the software up front, we're not going to decorate at all. All those resources are going to be set to not required. And again, we would actually write it into the quote that we haven't estimated for any gutter. That's the customer's going to do that themselves. Or again, down here, plant and labour, it will kind of default a mini digger to actually dig out the trenches. It could be that when you looked at the job and you've been to the site and done a site survey, you might find that you have to do a manual labour dig. You can't get the plant in there, so we have to change the mechanical dig for a more labour intensive one. So we can change some of these elements just here. And when we're ready, we just kind of create the job. It's just giving me a warning there because I've told the software about removing the decoration. But I'm gonna do it without any kind of decoration on there. So just while that's loading, I'm just gonna have a quick sip of a drink a minute. So it's now loaded the template. That's what we're looking at here. This is our kind of lean-to extension template. Very quickly, you can tell it's a 6x3. That's the kind of default length and width. And obviously, you can change that. If I want to kind of make those walls 4 meters in length, and I want to tab to that section, I want to make that wall 5 meters in length, I can do. So we can do like a 5x4. You can get down if you want to do that 3.5, and then this one's going to be 6.25. You can kind of do it that way as well if you want to. You'll notice as well, every time I change the values, that number up here changes. This is really just kind of giving you a quick eyes on the construction cost, the profit and overheads. We're marking up by, I think, did I say 25-30%? So we've got $5.5 grand coming out of that. So the sales price, excluding VAT, we're looking at 27,739 there on this section. So yeah, every time you change any kind of value, you'll notice that kind of recalculates very, very quickly. So that's me kind of changing the length and the width. Just down here, I can actually change the ceiling height. I can overwrite that number to 2.5 or 2425 or whatever you want to kind of pop in there. You can kind of change that kind of ceiling height quite quickly. If you want to change that pitch on the roof, we can make that certainly a lot shallower than 45 degrees. We can bring that down to 20 degrees. We can change the tile length of the spacing downstairs. We can change the soffit widths to the eaves downstairs. We can even change how deep we're going to dig the foundations. It's given us 900mm below the site strip. Again, if the conditions are such that you need to go a little bit deeper, I can dig down deeper and give them about 1.2. All right. Again, you can kind of take away any kind of decoration, etc. From here. Yep. Okay, we can kind of take that away. So again, it's now kind of reduced the price even further. So yeah, you can kind of change these values here. All right. Do you remember what I said about kind of making any kind of assumptions? So we can write the assumptions in here. Or sorry, I was going to write the emissions, because what I want to do, I want to make sure that no decoration estimated points. So how you want to kind of word that really. But what that will do, that will kind of be written onto the quote for you, so the customer knows that you haven't allowed for any decoration on the project. So down here, we are going to have an update soon that the little kind of 3D does the kind of sit at the top, but for the time being, it kind of just disappears. You can kind of go back to it as well if you want to make any adjustments. If you kind of scroll down now, you're kind of now starting to kind of go through each and every section that you want to price. So the first section is going to be the brick and block cavity wall. So these walls here, the 6 by 3.5, this is just now asking for the wall widths. They do default to around about 340 and 140 mil for the cavities. It's assuming that you're going to have to comply with Partitions building regs, wherein you need to kind of make the walls that little bit wider to allow for the additional insulation to comply with Partitions building regs. But I do still see a lot of builders still estimating in 300 and 100 mil. So you can just overtype that very, very quickly if you want to, or leave it 340 and 140 mil. That's completely down to you. All right, but again, you can adjust these in here. What you can also do as well is we did load a brick and block cavity wall template. If the client has a change of mind and they want you to build an external cavity block wall with a rendered finish, I can even change that, and you'll see there the 3D changes with a rendered wall instead. So we're no longer building in brick and block, we're actually doing external cavity block with a rendered wall. So you can change any of these kind of sections if you like. All right. Now, just to kind of explain a little bit about these kind of 3 buttons here, that button there just lets you just check the dimensions that are going into the wall. So remember we said it was 2425 high, it's 30 meters in total length. The gable here, this lean-to gable, is actually being measured. The A section is 2 meters and the B section is 4.45 to allow for the pitch. Okay, so it's already picking that up. We haven't done any kind of openings just yet because we haven't put any kind of windows or doors in. But the depth of my trench is going to be about 1.2 meters deep. And then the concrete fill we're actually putting in there is going to be 800 mil thick. And the width of the foundation, and you do get these little kind of dialogue boxes, that's going to be 600 mil wide. Okay. It's also going to allow for plank and strut, so it's going to reinforce the trench, make it nice and safe. And then you've obviously got your bulking of excavated material that's coming out the ground, all going to be bulked up by 1.5, but it's going to be nice and loose, and that needs to go in a skip. And then the next page is going to be the footing. So this is obviously your trench you've dug, and then this is the wall that's going into the trench really. It's obviously insulating, doing a separate damp proof course. And then what we're doing to that is we're just plastering the block work, and you can see there we're not painting it or decorating it. That's been set to no. Okay, we are putting a skirting board on, but that skirting board itself isn't going to be primed or it's not going to be decorated. If you wanted to at this stage, you could click that and say yes. You can overwrite that if you want to at this stage, but if they were decorating the walls and they're quite happy for you to do the skirts, then you can change that. So there's little bits that you can kind of change as you go through. The second button along, the resources, is really just kind of looking at what resources are going into the wall. So it'll kind of look at what bricks you're kind of using in the splash course. What bricks are you actually using below the splash course? What's the block you're kind of using? What's the cavity fill you're kind of using? What's the cavity insulation you're using? If you want to change the cavity insulation, just click on that little button there, and that kind of gives you the different options for the insulation we've got in the software. So again, this is looking at all the different types of materials, and then if you kind of drop that down, that will kind of give you the different insulation you've got. Now, if you want to put a new bit of insulation in there, you can just click on that new resource, and you guys can put your own kind of cavity insulation in there. How you're going to buy it in, how you want to kind of price it up, who you're getting it from. So you can actually add materials directly into the job as you go, really. Same for here. If you want to have a look at the bricks, we said we're going to be using a £1.20 brick. But again, if you can't get a £1.20 bricks, or you say to the customer, well, we've had a look and they've actually gone up to £1.40, so we're going to use a £1.40 brick instead. And then what we're doing is we're actually estimating at £84 a square metre, because we're actually using 60 bricks for every square metre we lay. So based on the amount of bricks that are going into the wall, you're actually going to need 2,266 bricks to go into that, because the size of your extension is 35.98 square metres. So if you're using 2,266 bricks, that's going to cost £3,173, because your bricks are actually costing £1.40 each. So that's how it works out the price here, by basing it on like an estimated rate. That's already built into the software. It's already estimating how many bricks you use, and then it's actually working out how big the extension is, and then it's really just then kind of calculating, well, this is how much you're going to need on the brick side. If you want to kind of have a look at the labour elements, so the team that are actually laying those bricks is going to be your kind of 2-in-1 gang, and again, they're coming out my price book at 65 an hour. We're estimating that they're going to be doing 1.6 square metres an hour. So there's going to be nearly 22 hours worth of time there to actually lay those 2,200 bricks, because they're being estimated at £39 a square metre. But what we've done is we've kind of made the software so flexible that you can actually say that in an hour they can do 2 square metres an hour, which actually reduces the amount of hours, which will reduce cost. If they're only doing 1.5 square metres an hour, then obviously the amount of time is going to go up, and obviously cost is going to go up. They're going to be a little bit slower, but you may get a bit more quality. So you guys can change these little kind of areas, tweak them as you want to. So your actual price is as accurate as it's going to be on the job, really. Once you're kind of finished on the external walls, I can press complete, and then all I have to do is just work down the list. We can then go to the floor section. We can go to the extension slab. I can change it to a ground bearing and insulated and reinforced slab, or I can change it to a beam and block if I like, or I can even change it to an insulated timber floor if I like, and then that's estimating up my timber floor. So yeah, you can change that whatever you like. If you want to suspend the slab, you can do as well. There is the option of kind of doing that. In here, you can go in and suspend the slab, and then you've obviously got your kind of suspended slab in there as well. So yeah, it's you guys can do whatever you feel fit, or what is required for the job. And you can also change the depth of the slab that's going in. You can go into the dimensions, just check them through. It's 18.9 square meters, and then you can obviously have a look at top and bottom reinforcement, and then how many days you're going to need your plate compacted for, your wheelbarrow, shovel. Bear in mind, this is an estimate. This is before you even kind of like broke grounds, sign contracts. This is kind of giving the customer an advance kind of price based on their job and what's really kind of going into it. So a lot could change, but you also have the flexibility in here of changing it. Whether or not you're going to screed the floor or not is down to you. You can, if they don't want it screeded, you can tell them not required. That's the roof that's going in. So we've obviously got our kind of cut roof that's going in. That's your lean-to pitch. But it's estimating up all your timbers, all your joist centers, rafter centers, your eaves length. It's automatically kind of working out the size of the eaves. And you've obviously got your kind of length of abutment, insulation, etc. That's all going into it as well. Or if you don't want a flat ceiling, you can go up to the rafters instead. You can estimate up to the rafters. You can also kind of create openings into existing walls. So we can do a structural opening to a large size opening, and we can put the large size opening in there, and we can tell the software how wide that's going to be. Maybe that's 5 meters, and maybe you're taking away about 2.2 in height, and it'll plaster around the opening as well. So the opening's done, and all the time the price is going up. All right, it's just automatically calculating that. It's also going to finish off the internal and external side of the walls, plastering to the existing connecting wall, kind of skim that, add any or replace any skirtings to either leaf. External doors, so you can again kind of pop in any kind of doors in here really. You can put in bifolds, patios, that kind of thing. The software also links in with a company we use called Crystal Direct. If you want to put an aluminium door in there, you can actually link this to a supplier. So if that door is about 3 meters wide, it's white, it's aluminium, it hinges to the left, that price there is the price that you can actually buy through one of our partners called Crystal Direct. They actually supply to the likes of B&Q, Trade Point, I think they also supply Travis, I think they also supply Build Base for the windows and doors. So you can select that, select a lintel, select a cavity closer, and then put one door in there. So that's allowing for the bifold. And what that also does as well, so the software is quite intuitive. In those the walls that we built, it automatically works out the area of opening you're going to need. So we no longer need 2,200 bricks because you've actually got a 6.3 square meter opening going in there. And I can actually check that by going into resources. I'll go into the bricks and I'll check, see how many bricks we've got now. It's 1,780 or 1,869 including wastage. So it's automatically kind of calculated to take away the amount of bricks based on the opening sizes. So that's the door that's going in, and we can also add a window. Depends on the window. You can go to Crystal Direct, you can base it on style first. Maybe they want a 588 and maybe they want it about 1.4 meters in depth, or we can do that a little bit deeper. I think one of the windows that we do here, I think it's style number 1. We can get that around about kind of 2 meters and nice kind of tall window, 440. What we could also do in the extension is we can tell the software we want more than one. So maybe we want 5 of those windows to go into the extension, nice kind of tall ones that are all going all the way down to the floor. So we can actually add those as well. I'm not going to go into it, but it will do the same to the wall. It will now subtract the amount of bricks we're not going to need to allow for the 5 windows. You can also put in Velux windows as well to the roof if they want that kind of, we're doing a lean-to, so we can do some top hung ones, manual opening, 1140s by 1398s, white painted with some extra low energy glass. That 764 you're seeing there as a price is what you'll actually get from the Velux window website. Maybe you guys are getting it from a local supplier a little bit cheaper, so overwrite the price. Maybe you're getting them for about £699 each. 699, whoop, a bit too much. So yeah, so we can get them for around about £700 each, if you like. And then you can tell the software how many you need. Maybe we need 2 that are going into this this extension. So Velux windows are done, and all of a sudden we're up to 35,065. If you need any kind of internal partitions, you can do them here. You can just give a length of the walls that you're after. It does do kind of internal cavities, internal single skins, or even the stud walls. If you're putting in any kind of internal stud walls, just put the total length of the studs that you're after, and it will kind of work that one out. Just give me 2 seconds. Just going to have another drink a minute. Just mine's getting a bit. Cool, I'm back again. Right, so if you are putting in any kind of internal walls and you want to put any doors, you've got the option of putting some doors in here as well. Just select the doors that you're after and just apply them. So all you're really kind of do with this is just really kind of work down this list, doing whatever kind of section you want to do. This is only if you're doing any kind of additional plastering. Obviously, if you're building the extension, you're probably treating the adjacent room. So you could be kind of reskimming or replastering that room. So yeah, you can do some basic plaster patching or whatever you like to do. But bear in mind, you're already plastering all the new stuff you're building. So this isn't the kind of plastering the walls you're building. They're already done. All right. And again, any kind of additional decoration, it could be that you're doing any remedial kind of decoration to the adjacent room as you go. If you are having to put any kind of steel beams in, then you can actually add the steel beams. So you do have this kind of steels in here, whatever variety of sizes you've got, you can kind of pop those in and then choose what the cost of the beams you want to place and how big the beam's going to be, how much is going to be plastered, and then that kind of allows for that universal beam to be added to the price. If you're doing any kind of like walling sundries, you could be doing like parapet walls, you could be doing cladding, you could be popping in a chimney, flue system, tile cladding in there, wall starters, etc. You could actually be adding these kind of additional kind of walling sundries. Or even, as I said, there is an adjacent, you're building off an existing build. It could be that you're having to do some demolition work while you're there, so you can kind of demolish that wall. That will remove the foundations, remove the wall itself. Or you could be doing some remedial work on the roof. So you could be doing like a roof renovation as well. So that will kind of strip out kind of timbers, gutters, tiles, etc. You can also say to the software how much you want to reuse. It might be that half the roof's absolutely fine and the other half needs to be replaced. So you could say you're only going to replace 50% of the roof. So yeah, you can obviously kind of do that as well. Or even if you're doing an internal renovation, you can go into rooms and remove skirts, remove plaster, strip wallpaper, fit new skirting, etc. You can do all that under the renovation section, really. The software will also do plumbing and heating as well. You can actually add them individually. You can add boilers, sanitary ware, toilet cubicles, radiators, showers. You can add them all if you need to, or you can actually add them as a little kind of group item to be nice and kind of quick and easy. You can, if you're doing an extension with a bathroom that's going in there, you could actually do like a 3-piece bathroom suite, and then you can put whatever size kind of bathroom area that's going in there. Could be 6 or 8 square meters or so. And then this will kind of give you your kind of bathroom and cloaks, and you can go in and adjust the cost you're actually buying in the bath or the basin or the shower, etc. You can kind of change those quite quickly. And you can also add electrics as a kind of a group item. It could be the living space. This could be a new dining room you're kind of building for them. And then that will kind of give you ceiling roses and wall lights and electric sockets quite quickly. And again, you can overwrite the quantities, etc. Same for fitting out. You could do like a fit a kitchen if you wanted to. That will kind of allow for all like your wall units, base units, worktops. Or you may be putting down a vinyl floor, so that will level the compound, plywood boards, floor vinyl adhesive. Or you could be doing like a porcelain floor tiling. So again, there is kind of some variation in the software that you can kind of allow for. Once you kind of get under the bonnet of the software, you'll just notice how much the kind of details in here. Same for drainage. You might be having to kind of move the drainage system or installing a brand new one. So if we're doing an extension, we can just say we're doing a back inlet gully, a solid vent pipe, the 2 shallow access chambers, and we can do one of those. And again, it kind of adds it as a group item very, very quickly. And again, you can overwrite values and stuff as well in there if you need to. Or you can add them kind of individually. As well as the kind of new extension you're doing in the internal stuff you've done, you can also kind of do like paving. So you may be putting down some kind of paving slabs, or you could be doing like some block paving. You can do whatever you like in there really, or even just the stripping a site, or even tarmacking a drive. You can kind of allow for that as well really. Down to kind of landscaping as well, for those amongst us that like to do a little bit of kind of landscaping and stuff. You can do decking and panel fencing, etc. Or you've got a bigger project where it's a new building and you need to kind of allow for that really. Preliminaries and sundries, so things that a lot of builders don't think about is obviously establishing the site, costs, travel costs, even kind of site acquisition or even a site appraisal. So if you're doing the site appraisal, you can allow for like a site survey, whatever the cost is, maybe an engineer's report, again, whatever the cost is. Don't know how much an engineer kind of charges these days, but depends on how much the kind of the site survey is, or even the architect's kind of design fees. You can put whatever cost is in there, or even establishing the site. Maybe it's a small or a medium-sized extension you're doing, and that will allow for a cabin or a toilet if you don't need the cabin, but you maybe need the toilet for about 10 weeks. And it will also allow for like skip permits. Again, you might need that for a couple of months. You might have to suspend a bay, and also your own kind of insurance costs, site security, health and safety costs. You can kind of add them, as well as like travel costs as well. Not a lot of builders kind of allow for the wear and tear on the van. But yeah, just putting 1,000 miles in there per job will kind of cover you for your fuel, etc., and all that kind of thing, really. As I said, once you're kind of down at the bottom here, and then we've pretty much kind of come to the end, there's also the section to kind of put in a subcontractor as well. So if you have got like a special kind of fitter or special kind of element you're doing, you can just bang it in as kind of a single line subcontract. But if you want to put an additional template in, so again, if you click on the additional templates, you can then add a brand new template to the estimate that you've just done. So if you're building a garage, or there's another kind of extension going on, you can just add that, and then you just do exactly the same as as I've just done. All right. So we've kind of got to the bottom of that lean-to. Construction cost 37,971. Profit markup's 9492, and obviously the sales price 47,464. If you do click on the main estimate button, this just gives you a little bit more kind of information. There is a nice kind of pie chart in here, just breaks down what percentage is being contributed to materials and labour. You can see it there. It obviously gives you cost there, but also gives you access to the overall what sections you've done. So the walls themselves totaling just under 10k, the roofs 6.3, obviously your doors, your site appraisal costs, extension slabs, establishing the site, even down to those travel costs. So across the course of this job, we're going to put £700 to kind of wear and tear on the van. Once that's done, you can then kind of click on the build program. So there is a kind of a built-in Gantt chart. That's then kind of generated based on the amount of hours you've actually your labour's done. And again, they can be adjusted. So if you want to kind of have an idea of how long the job's going to be and how long each section is going to be, and you can also increase that as well. Commencement, we could put a little bit kind of extra kind of time on that. Site setup, again, we can put a little bit kind of extra time on that. And you'll also see as well, you can build in lag. So again, if you want to put an extra day or two kind of lag based on the previous activity, you can do, especially with the masonry shell, and you can actually change that to like a finish kind of section. So those that kind of use project management Gantt chart software, you've got one built into this, and you can print all this off, or even just kind of export it as like a PDF if somebody wants to kind of have a copy. At least you can kind of say to the client, this is the expected kind of time frame that would be kind of following, and these are the kind of dates and stuff that would be on the job. So It's all about making sure that they know where you are when you're coming in, what sections are going to be done. It's all about that kind of professional kind of image that the software is going to give you. So once that's done, you can also look at what we call the Smart Scheduler tool. And this is really where it's going to be telling you where your materials are, when they need to be ordered, etc. So let me just click on that. So the Smart Scheduler tool, it just gives you some filters here. If you want to have a look at your masonry shell and you want to have a look at your bricks, that will kind of filter how many bricks you're going to need across this job. Again, you can kind of look at different components. If you want to look at the blue circle Mastercrete cement, if we hover over that, it tells you there where it's going to be kind of required. And we can also click on show this resource, and if you want to kind of increase the order quantities at this stage, you can do if you want to give yourself an extra bag. But bear in mind, the software is already allowing for the exact amount of materials and stuff you're going to need, and also wastage as well. It then kind of gives you these reports here, so you can actually look at your materials by build phase report, and then this will give you a document, and then it's giving you the kind of dates and stuff, your kind of order dates when things need to be ordered by. Very, very quickly, you're kind of looking at where your cavity closers, where your windows are, your building sand, where that's going to be required, all the bricks, cement, etc. And there's just a couple of different views on the overall kind of reports. This is actually materials by order date. So order date on the 24th of August, this is what we need. We need the tiles, etc. 723, that's when we need to be, that's when they're going to be required, and that's when we need to be ordering, etc. All right, or certainly 24th of August. There is one in here for the materials report as well, so it's just a nice kind of long list of materials when they need to be ordered by. So again, it's all about saving time, saving energy. That time can be put into the business more productively and more efficiently, really, or even into your own kind of personal lives. I do know from experience, speaking to builders, it's a pain in the proverbial kind of doing all this stuff. I mean, I've been kind of chatting for about an hour. If I wasn't talking, I could have probably got through this in around about 20 to 30 minutes easy. Maybe making some adjustments here or there. But yeah, but what you really want to get to is under outputs, you want to get to that quote, and that's the quote that you're going to give to the customer. So I'm going to go to the quote bar for the main estimates. You can include your own logo in here. All you have to do is go browse for it. I've got one in here. I can upload that logo there, and I can pop it. If I apply change, that will sit at the top, and I can adjust that if I want to kind of put it to the right, and I want to make that a little bit bigger. Let's say I want to do that at 70. Again, I can press apply change, and that will now kind of sit there. All right. If I want to kind of permanently keep that quote in there, just save to library, and that will now kind of permanently make that change in there. Also as well, you want to include the inflation as well. So what I'm going to do, if I save to library, it will always include the inflation price to the customer on the quote. It's got the client's details on there. It gives them a nice kind of letter that you can overwrite, and you can also upload your own kind of letterhead in there as well. And then it gets down to the emissions, no decoration estimated, client decorating, so the client knows this up front. And then we've got a kind of a summary breakdown as well, which will also include that inflation, and also now it's including VAT. Again, the VAT percentages can be changed here. If you're not VAT registered, you can also change that as well, or you can change the cost of the VAT, or even just put it as kind of a fixed cost. So yeah, you can alter that if you like. And then it goes into the overall kind of each section of the build phases. So masonry shell. It does give a kind of a breakdown for materials. These are just looking at kind of the some brief materials. It's not everyone's cup of tea. You can kind of take the pictures out and you can hide all resources, so you can actually have your quote looking like that instead. It's completely down to you, and if you want that as a kind of a permanent change, just save to library, and then you can kind of make that as the kind of a permanent change in there. And then at the very bottom, if I just scroll down to here, you've got an acceptance to the estimate section, and you can also leave them with terms. You actually get two of those, acceptance of the estimate, and so they get to keep, you get to keep a copy, they get to keep the whole quote, and you can also drop in your kind of T's and C's just there as well, really. Also on here as well, you've actually got under data reports, make that a little bit bigger, you've got lots of data reports in here. So if you want to have a look at your kind of labour time schedule, there'll be an XLE report in here for you to use, and you can export all this into Excel and play around with the numbers and stuff. But it's kind of looking at the build phase, who is it. You can also hide things with zero costs and zero quantities as well. So yeah, you can kind of go in here and play around with it. And there's also other material reports, as well as kind of cost analysis reports as well. If you want to have a look at your kind of costs, including VAT, then you'll have a report in here with the your VAT rates and stuff. If you guys are using accounting software, you can kind of export this stuff as what we call a CSV file. It strips out all the formatting, and then you can actually kind of import this data into external systems and stuff that accepts Microsoft CSV files. So yeah, that's the software really, and hopefully I've been able to demonstrate today that within no matter of time, even if you're kind of sitting there chatting to a colleague or somebody else, you can kind of move through these quotes very, very quickly. And all you have to do is kind of finish it off, is just save it. And then because we've used Crystal Direct Windows and Doors, that will also kind of ping an email to those guys to say that we've quoted using their materials, and you can send it over to them. And then you can go into the next one, and then you can estimate another job. So you're not spending a good chunk of your day or time kind of pricing customers' work. So if there are deadlines, the customer wants to quote tomorrow, you can really kind of give them a nice kind of ballpark figure idea, maybe make the kind of short list, and then you can give them a real kind of nice kind of detailed one, a lot more kind of involved, a lot more kind of information. But at least you know up front whether or not the job's even worthwhile even tendering for in the first place. You could find that you're not going to make too much money on it. Point of putting all your kind of efforts in into it. At least you're knowing that answer very, very quickly, rather than it taking 2 or 3 days, or even some builders I speak to, it takes a couple of weeks to actually put an estimate together. So that's the end of today's session. We do have another one kicking off this evening at 7 o'clock. You can actually find those details on emails that we've sent out or on the website if you do want to have another run through. There is one kicking off at 7 o'clock tonight with my colleague Matthew. But I'll be kind of hanging on for the next 5 minutes just to kind of answer any questions that you guys have. So please feel free to fire any kind of questions over to me while I'm here. But I'm just going to put myself on mute just to get a drink, and yeah, fire away, and I'll hopefully answer any questions you have. Okay, so a couple of questions. Profit and overheads. It's all just lumped on is one price. It doesn't kind of break down profit and overheads to the customer. That's all hidden in the price. So yeah, that's more for a you thing to kind of set out. You could obviously kind of look at lots of different reports to look at that yourself, but the final price that goes to the customer, the quotation, is purely just the cost of the build with the VAT. Inflation as well is pretty much just hidden in this price here. So you're not showing any kind of profit or overhead or inflation in there. That's just the price to the customer with the VAT on there. You'll need, if you're looking to upload Dwg Drawings, you'll need PlansXpress to do that, and you'll need to obviously have the PlansXpress open, upload the DWG, trace over, save it, and then estimate it by pulling it into creating a new job just here. So when you kind of create the job, you pull in the plan. So this, if I got any plans on here, yeah. So if you're doing like a bungalow or something, or a complete drawing, you could kind of pull the plan in there really. I haven't actually got a brand new set of plans to do, but that job there is a trace over flat roof extension that's been done in PlansXpress. So yeah, that's obviously another bit of software that we do, probably for another day. Or if you're speaking to one of our guys in the office, we could obviously kind of set up like a one-to-one demo on the PlansXpress side of things. Okay, so hopefully that's answered all your questions today. We could obviously kind of pick up over the phone anyway and have a chat. These things tend to be a bit more kind of one way. So just want to say thank you very much for your attendance. Hopefully you've had a good insight to what we do, and I'm sure we'll chat over the phone and catch up one-to-one. But thank you very much for your time today. Appreciate it. We'll be in touch and we'll speak soon. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.